Welcome to the Walled Garden Podcast. Here we nourish the gardens of our minds, one meaningful conversation at a time. If you'd like to find out more, go to thewalledgarden.com. Thanks for joining us. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Walled Garden Podcast. So today I have a real treat for you guys because I've got the recording of Sharon Lebell's most recent meetup that she ran in the month of January, entitled How This Moment Can Change Everything. For those of you who don't know Sharon, well, you've got some catching up to do. She's been on the podcast many times. She is one of the co-founders of the Walled Garden community. She is the author of The Art of Living, the classical manual on virtue, happiness, and effectiveness. And she might quite literally be the wisest individual I've ever come across in my life. Her meetup that she gave, which you're about to hear today, was just a beautiful experience to attend. And before we dive into it, I do want to let you know that this week we have a couple of meetups coming up that I'm sure if you enjoy this episode, you're really going to enjoy these meetups coming along live and even asking some questions. On Tuesday or tomorrow here in Australia, we have David Feidler doing a live interview and Q&A with our Walled Garden community. Now, you don't have to be a member of the community to come along to this, but I will put a link in the show notes to where you can go along and register for that meetup. Or you can also go to thewalledgarden.com/events and you can find it there. And a note on that one, David Feidler is the author of a new book that many of you will have heard of by now called Breakfast with Seneca. So it's going to be a really fascinating conversation with him about Seneca's philosophy and his life. And David Feidler really has such a wealth of experience and knowledge and understanding of the Stoic philosophy. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And I'm also very much looking forward to the end of the week, which is going to be on Saturday morning for me, so Friday afternoon for most of you. And that's going to be another conversation with Sharon Lebell, or actually a lesson given by Sharon Lebell on Stoic tonics for clarity, ease, and serenity. So just a reminder, if you really enjoy this episode of the podcast, which I can guarantee you will, then you're going to love this meetup coming up at the end of the week. And you can, again, find the link in the show notes to where you can go and register for that one. Or you can go to thewalledgarden.com/events. But apart from that, I'm going to dive straight into this lesson by Sharon Lebell. I hope you enjoy this as much as we did who were there listening in. And here we go, Sharon Lebell on how this moment can change everything.
I'm going to take us in a slightly different direction. I'm going to talk about how this moment can change everything. So, great day, great moment, great possibility, great life, great beginning. I'm going to suggest that we each take some slow, deep breaths to signify to our minds and to our nervous systems that we have arrived in this place, in this time together. Let us remember that this moment, this short time together, doesn't have to be just another transitional time until the supposedly real, important, consequential part of our life begins. This is it. what's happening right now is the point of everything. There is nothing more important than right now, here, together, we, us. So, in some sense, my message for today has already been delivered. It condenses to one sentence. This one brief moment is everything. Everything. So that said, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Sharon Lebell, and I'm an author, a speaker, now a philosophical coach, and a musician. I perform and compose on a one-of-a-kind instrument that has 106 strings, and it's related to the hammer dulcimer and the cymbalum, but I had it built especially for me. I'm best known for writing this book, The Art of Living, and it's a modern interpretation of the teachings of the great Stoic sage Epictetus. I think to honor and continue the tradition Simon has inaugurated with the walled garden, I'm going to briefly play some music to welcome us, to set the tone, and to focus our attention. I don't know what I'm going to play, and that's important. It's important because I'm hoping that you'll follow my example of letting go, of being prepared. Let's, for this brief time together, let's let go of being clever. Let's let go of what we think we know, and even what we think is valuable. Not to disown these things, but to allow new doors to open, and, well, just to make some space to invite in fresh ways of seeing. This whole time together is meant to be an evocation of the wisdom that courses through you all the time, but gets drowned out by the demands of the workaday world, and also all our efforts to seem like plausibly sane and acceptable people who can be understood by others. So let's just give all that a little rest. There is such great value in deliberately letting go from time to time, because it allows in what we don't know we don't know. So I'm going to fly without a net and allow some music to come through me, and we'll see what happens. Let me see if I can. I hope you'll be able to hear this. I don't have a high-tech thing going on here. Let's see where we go. Okay. Of all the things I've learned from Epictetus and the Stoics as a group, there's one lesson or perspective shifter that runs through all the key Stoic literature as a subtext. To me, it's an emphatic reminder of the sacred urgency of life itself. The whole Stoic quest for virtue pointing toward a flourishing life, eudaimonia, well, it's rooted in the mostly unspoken proposition that our lives really, really, really matter. They are not some lark of the universe or a little joke for God's entertainment. And that what we do with our lives matters. Our life counts, and all of its constituent parts are real. Let me back up a bit. Especially in this time of COVID, there's, at least where I live, there's a common feeling, a kind of longing for when our lives are going to become real again, something solid we can count on with all the conditions that keep us comfortable and reassured put back in their places. Just when will those things go back to the way they were? When will the roller coaster end? But we all know that what we're going through collectively and personally, it's just the way it happens to be at this historical moment. This is life. It's not an intermission or a way station. I'm put in mind of, there's a great Zen master who passed away a few years ago, and he also happens to be a rabbi. His name was Alan Liu, and he said something I thought was terrific. He said, "This is real, and we are so unprepared. This is real, and we're so unprepared. Yet, many of us harbor a nostalgia for kind of a mythical time when we were prepared, or maybe a future time when we might be prepared. We wish for a time when we weren't so buffeted, so tired, so uncertain, so broadsided so much of the time. Except it was never so. Life has always surprised us. It's always astonished us. And it's always been life. I was raised in the Jewish tradition, which is super preoccupied with identifying the sacred and distinguishing it from the ordinary. I view a Jewish mindset as one of, it's one of constant discernments and distinctions, a kind of ongoing reckoning with minute differences in meaning, as well as observed shared qualities or analogies. And within this mindset, which is completely universal and non-sectarian, there are no provisional moments. There are no transitional moments. There are just moments. Moments to make matter, with the making of the mattering on us. Life matters when we decide to make it so. Sacred time happens when we make it so and act accordingly. This would be when we treat our relationships as real, as consequential, even if we are so unprepared. Because we're always going to be unprepared. Always. And isn't that the joy of life's mystery? It never gets boring around here, does it? Well, only if we ourselves become boring and space out. Withdrawing from the holy opportunity this moment offers us. Okay, so what kinds of opportunities does this moment offer us? What's at the buffet? We have the opportunity to be angry, resentful, bored. We also have the opportunity to fill this moment with a loving gesture, a kind action. We don't need to worry about the next moment or the next, just this one here. This one we can fill with kindness, industry, creation, generosity, presence, courage, justice, beauty. We have sovereignty over this moment, even if we are so unprepared. Who says you need to be prepared? What if we just do the best we can with what we know right now and with what we've got? Even, and perhaps especially, if we feel wobbly, not up to the task, perhaps unworthy. Maybe all we have ever been called to do is to do the best we can with what we've got in this moment, ideally pointing ourselves in the direction of virtue. This moment is irretrievable. Oops, it's gone. Now this one, oops, it's gone. But into the next one, we can pour our guileless love, our effort, our desire to learn, our willingness to try. Or perhaps we can cry out in confusion, in anguish. Either way, this moment is here to be filled, to be engaged with. It is the sacred locus of our lives. It is where our life happens. It is the genesis of everything good and enduring and worthwhile. It is home. Sure, it's rickety, or we are anyway. We don't know what we're doing. We just do the best we can. And then we do the best we can once more. And then we do the best we can over and over and over, like breathing. And then, in the fullness of time, we notice, that was a life well lived. I tried, I loved, I gave. I learned, I sought, I built, I smiled, I sighed, I depended on others. They depended on me. We tried things together. Sometimes we failed, sometimes miserably. Sometimes we were foolish, and we did it again and again and again. And somehow it all mattered. And lo and behold, it was magnificent. When I was writing The Art of Living, I felt personally addressed by Epictetus. It was like he was saying to me, Sharon, what can you do with a moment? And as I grappled with his teachings, I realized that choice over what I can control is key. And this choice arises in this moment. What can you do with a moment? Well, there's a lot you can do with a moment. You can reach out and hug someone. You can apologize. You can pull the gun's trigger. You can put that drink down and have it be your last. You can make the difficult phone call. You can fill in the blank. And the other thing we can do with a moment is to waste it by underestimating its power to change everything. The moral spirit of Epictetus's teachings is always concerned with the decisional instant. This is our point of power. It is the seat of the only power we have. Because for all said and done, Epictetus would ask us, over what do we have control? Where does your sovereignty lie? Certainly not in what he calls externals, other people's opinions, the temperature outside, physical laws, so on. We're sovereign over one thing only, and that is what we think, say, or do with this moment right here. That's powerful because everything, and I mean everything, emanates from this moment, radiating out into the future. So let's talk about holiness. Moments are where holiness lives. Holiness comes because we expect it to, or we separate this moment off and decree it to be so. If you want to make life holy, to make your life matter, to count for something, all you ever have to do is to decide to make this moment matter. If you want your life to stand for something, say kindness, then we can do something kind in this moment. We don't need to worry about the other moments. They'll take care of themselves. Again, we have sovereignty over this moment, meaning what we do or say or refrain from doing or saying right now. And that's it. That's it. That's the whole enchilada. It's often believed that wisdom is esoteric or that it must be hard won. What if, just what if, true wisdom is simply being present to your current experience and caring? That's my proposition to you today. That wisdom, and I mean the real deal, has to do with caring about what is real right now in your field of influence. And I'm going to give you a personal example of what I do with some of my moments. My example is deliberately humble, and it's a prosaic example to underscore the message that true wisdom is available right here, right now, with what we've got. It's not necessarily mystical or fancy or only for the specially initiated. So here's an example of what I like to do with a moment. Every day, no matter what, I handwrite a letter to someone. This is a bone simple action, and it fortifies my conviction that it is the supposedly little things that actually are the big things. So I have a shelf, and it has my writing supplies organized. I've got my stationery, postage stamps, and my special pens. What do? I put myself in mind of a person. Whoever comes to mind first becomes my intended recipient. And then I write a letter to that person. I write to people I know. I write to people I don't know, or to those with whom I have a casually cordial relationship. Sometimes I write to someone I've never met and admire, such as an author whose book I just finished. Usually the letter is a message of well-wishing. Sometimes it's one of condolence. Sometimes I test out ideas or hunches in these letters. Okay, so I quietly sit and intensely think about the person I'm talking to through my pen. And this makes me happy. This settles my mind. It wards off depression. It wards off the corrosive effects of compulsively noting life's absurdities. This simple act returns me to the driver's seat of my life. I'm no longer merely responding to an avalanche of trivial imperatives. I'm just a person in a chair with a pen, thinking about another person and what they made me think about or how they made me feel. These letters are not premeditated. Some are eloquent, others pedestrian. Some are clever or heartfelt. Others are silly, self-indulgent. I just write them with no erasures. And then I add a complimentary close. I sign them and I seal the envelope. Then I write their address on the letter and I put a stamp on the envelope. But wait, there's one last thing. A deliberate inefficiency that is the hallmark of this daily practice. Before I put the letter in my outbox, which happens to be the passenger seat of my car, I light a candle, which melts colorful wax. And I pour this wax onto the envelope seal, and I use a stamp to imprint the initial of my first name into the wax. It's kind of an old-fashioned thing to do. But this ceremonial step adds a satisfying gravity to my efforts. And then later in the day, when I'm out and about, I'll mail the letter at my post office, and I'm done. So this whole effort took, at the most, 15 minutes. It's usually shorter than that. a string of fully alive moments. And do I even have to explain its vast consequences? I mean, mind you, I write this daily letter for myself. I carry no hope or expectation that I will receive letters back. I do this ritual because it helps me order my mind and order my day. And that itself is sufficient reward. But of course, something immeasurable has happened. I have connected in a focused, open-hearted way with what adds up to 365 people a year. These letters make the recipients feel good, though again, that's not the point of writing them. These notes remind others that they matter. Someone is thinking of them. The value of guileless caring about and connecting with others has been affirmed one more time. And the act of writing each of these letters has strengthened my sense of belonging to the human family. So, okay, that's it. That's one example of one eccentric person, what I do to wake up to the powerful possibilities of this moments, the moments where we live, the moments where we invest our meaning and our values. The place that is the pivot point of change. Now, why don't I say, like, say, the Roman poet Horace, carpe diem, seize the day. I'll grant you that's a perfectly good suggestion. But a day is big, a day is wiggly, a day is abstract and unwieldy. Whereas this moment is something you can upgrade, you can sanctify it, you can inhabit it, you can surrender to it and invest with all of your love, all of your yearning, all of your grief, all of your hope now. It's right here. And you can give all of yourself to it. And then you can see what happens. So I'm going to close by having a shift to a little musical meditation. I'll play some music that honors the infinite possibilities afforded by any given moment. Or, as I like to say more accurately, I will let the music play me. And what I hope is that you will let the music play you, that you will give yourself a few minutes to drop into yourself by perhaps closing your eyes and lying down or sitting comfortably, and just letting these few undirected, introverted moments be a chance for unsought, small, but mighty questions and revelations to make their appearance. The paradox, of course, is that the more we let go, the more we get. Anyhow, here we go. I'll welcome you back on the other side when we're done. So, welcome back, my walled garden friends. Do you have any idea how grateful I am to each of you that we get to share this time? What a privilege. What a pleasure. We are making meaning together. We are recalibrating our hearts together. We are together, and this makes all the difference. So all I can say is let's take exquisite care of ourselves and of each other. Let's caretake this moment, and then the next, and then the next. I just remember that mystery writer, Agatha Christie, said, one doesn't recognize in one's life the really important moments, not until it's too late. Let's not have that be our fate. Anyhow, perhaps you now have something to say. I'm going to decree that it is my job to listen to you.
You've been listening to the Walled Garden Podcast. If you'd like to attend any of our free meetups and events, or if you'd like to get one-on-one mentoring with either Sharon Lebell, Kai Whiting, or myself, just go to thewalledgarden.com. But for now, don't forget to nourish those gardens in your mind.